So now that we've learned the different ways that we can make equations, whether it's typing in the numbers, using cell references, or using a function, let's explore those a little bit more. So what I want to show you is that this sum function, if I double click on it, I put this in here and it automatically found D1 through D10, right? So I'm going to go ahead and hit enter or the check mark or whatever to get out of it. And I'm going to go over here to cell G1. And this time I'm going to go ahead and go back and I'm going to put in another sum function. Now, when you put in sum functions or any functions, whether there's averages, min, max, those basic functions that you're using, Excel is going to try and determine what are you trying to find the sum of, the average of, the min, max of, whatever it is. And it's going to put that automatically inside the parentheses. You can see that there's this little ants walking around showing you what's been selected. And I can show you that this is the same way it looks when we copy something, right? Except that it's blue because that's what's being selected. And you can see that by default, because I was up in a row, and that's where the numbers were, Excel went and tried to find the row that it wanted to add. Down here, it found the column of column D. You don't have to accept this information, but I think what's really important is the way you select things. So I can just hit the backspace key and it will completely remove everything outside of the parentheses. And what's important is the equal sum function. It's saying, okay, this cell is equal to the sum of anything inside these parentheses. So I could put whatever I want inside those parentheses. And I could type numbers too. Like I could type numbers 5236, 5236. And then what's really important is there's this thing called arguments inside of Excel. Okay. And every Excel function has arguments where you could add multiple things together or you could average multiple things together. Every function has different pieces. And we're going to get into those arguments a little bit further. But what I want to show you is right below this, there's the arguments are showing. So it says sum is going to sum up the number 1. And then to get to the number 2 and add a second number in here to add to 5,236, I would then type a comma here. So comma then pops me and you can see number 2 is now bolded, right? Now I could go down here and I could add in D11. So I can take hard numbers I'm typing in and add them to cell references where I'm referring to a cell and whatever numbers inside of it, and I can add them together. And then I could hit comma to add a third number in of like 8,457. Okay, it doesn't matter what it is, but I'm able to type in numbers. I'm able to reference numbers. I can add all of these things together. And maybe, I hit the comma to add a fourth number in, and I add in all of column A. Okay, so A1 through A11. So I go in the center of the cell and I click and I drag and I grab all those. I can add a lot of different things in here. And what I think is important is that as I continue to hit comma, it's going to continue to add more numbers in here because that's how the sum function functions. Now, up here, what I also want to show is that right here in this little FX button is that insert function button that we kind of glossed over a little while ago. This is the function dialog box. This is going to allow you to see what arguments are in there and how the function works. So if we click this, you'll see that actually all of my numbers exist inside of number 1, 2, 3, 4. And when I click on 4, number 5 pops up and I could go in and add 5. So you can see it's showing me that I'm going to take 5,236. I'm going to take cell D11 that has the number 55. I'm going to take the number 8,457, which is what I typed in. Then I'm going to take the numbers between A1 and A11, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 55. You can see them all here. And I'm going to equal out and find that that's all 13,858 right there. So I've got all these functions in here. But you can see over here, they're separated by commas. So it's just the syntax or the rules of how a function is written. It always starts with an equal sign, then the name of the function, then the open parenthesis, then the different arguments separated by commas, and then close parenthesis. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK, and you'll see that it will give me the cells. Now, something else I want to point out, it'll give me the result of the cell, sorry. Something else I want to point out is I can actually go do a sum function, but when I have it automatically select what it wants to do, if I click on the physical border, you'll see that the border removes the little moving ants and becomes solid. And you can see now that I can't really, I can go in and I can reselect things, but you want to make sure that if you select that border, it's really just moving stuff around, right? And then sometimes it'll take you out of the equation. So when you're wanting to change what's selecting, don't click on the border. Instead, just click in the center of cells and drag, right? When we click in the center of cells and drag, we can then select new options. We can also, select different pieces. So like I can take 1 through 3 in cell A1 through 3. I can then hit a comma and do B4 through 6, comma, B or C 7 through 9, comma, and D 10, still adding 1 through 10, obviously, but I've added in a bunch of variables, like using different columns and the different arguments of the sum function, and hit enter, and I still get 55. So what I wanted to showcase about that is how you're selecting cells, and also how I could get the same result out here of 55 by using all the columns together and the different arguments of a sum function. Okay, so that was a lot about the sum function and how it's written, but I think it's important to know, because when we do averages or mins or max, you need to know how it's written and what's working with it, and we're going to look at that a lot. So in the next video, what we're going to do is we're going to look at why would we use a sum function over cell references, over typing in the numbers. Why wouldn't we just type in the numbers, right? What is the difference? And then why wouldn't we just type in the answer if we already know it? These are the questions you want to ask yourself, right? So we're going to talk about that in the next video.